Preparing a typewriter today. Lighting looks a little weird. Lighting looks a little weird, of course, because I am at this big lamp right here. We can turn this off for a quick second. There we go. That's a little better. I posted this link to a bunch of Facebook pages. Maybe people will tune in. I don't know. It's an idea. We gotta get our music running though. That is most certainly true. Let's get random shuffling of. Woo, loud. Alrighty. Now we have our music in the background, and I can formally introduce myself to those that might be watching the replay, to those that might be watching now that the view count hasn't shown me. I am Joseph, and I do typewritten poetry, but I also do typewriter repair. This is actually a very interesting episode, to say the least, because we're going to be attempting to put back together a Remington noiseless carriage. Now, this is probably on, like, if 5 is impossible and 1 is super easy, probably leaning towards a 4 on the difficulty scale, and this is my 4th stream trying to do this. I mean, I had to do it though. The carriage was binding. What does binding mean? It means that it was not going smoothly across the way. So what did I do? I was very upset. Well, there goes my dog. I was very upset that it would not go smoothly. And so what I did is I slowly started trying to do things to make it go smoothly. Started cleaning it out a little bit, cleaning here, working on something here, working on something here, slowly digging in here, digging in. And ultimately, what ended up happening is I had to take apart the entire carriage to get to the root of the problem. And indeed, the entire carriage has been disassembled, but, and the key but here, is that none of the pieces are missing. However, a lot of the pieces are, what do you call it? A lot of the pieces I might not know where they go, and that's going to be the fun with this one. Alrighty, so let's get started. I'm going to turn back on my light over here because I'm going to be doing probably right top, kind of start this out. And if you happen to be here or tuning in or you're checking in, feel free to just drop a comment or anything like that. This is the great thing about a Just Chatting stream. So the way that this repair is going to start, I'll take off my hat so it gives you guys better visibility in case I get my head in the way. There you go. Nice shot of my hair. So it starts with these. These are little spindles that the whole carriage rides on. And these are probably the piece that I'm thinking had the issue because these got dunked, quite literally dunked into this stuff right here, lacquer thinner. And so they came out pretty clean. This was a very heavy cleaning job. Now, supposedly, cleaning job isn't going to cut it. That's what I've been told. I have been told that a cleaning job isn't going to cut it. Goodness gracious, I didn't even get my things together. I gotta get screwdrivers galore everywhere. You need screwdrivers. And the reason why they said it was not going to cut it was because a binding carriage is not a cleaning job. Now, to an extent, they're probably right. By they, I mean some of the other experts in the typewriter community. Oh, how have you been? I've been sleeping in, so I've been missing your streams. Hi, leaky old man butt. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, no, I've been thinking about actually making some of the poetry streams later. I mean, you've just dropped a comment, so you've done it. Congrats. Welcome back to the stream. And yeah, so I'm going to be attempting to put back together this typewriter today. So this is not a what's it called stream, not a writing stream, but it is certainly creative in its own little way. You can see here the carriage moving. There's no carriage on it. No way to type on this thing. It just types into empty space. And it will be like a puzzle, finding where all these pieces go. And I fleshed out the inside of this. Basically, I made this thing as clean as I possibly could. If there is an issue from here on, what will be interesting is I will identify it as I'm putting the machine together. Well, that's very good. Especially as you're healing up, are you feeling better? And remember that you were not feeling well when we last spoke. As if I sound distracted, it's because I'm looking for a photo on my phone. Zoom out a little bit. The key here is that I took photos to be able to identify where which pieces went. This goes here. Well, I do hope you're feeling better, and it is good to see you in the chat here. Welcome, welcome. So this part is the first tricky thing that happens here. There will be multiple times during this experience where I turn around and I say, I wish I had 3 hands. And indeed, I wish I had 3 hands. The key to this was getting them to be lined up opposite to each other. So it stops there. Let's see. It's cutting this week. Camera leg is blocking this in. Well, that's a rather unfortunate development. Here we go. A little better. Ooh, and it's very angry at me. I seem to have done something wrong. %80 recovery. That is a good number. I wish it to be 100%. All right, did I get this? All right, it looks like it is good. Except it does seem to not be as loose as I remember it. So this is the start of the carriage being prepared. Now let's see here, this is when it starts getting a little funky. Now I plan on actually cleaning this piece before I install it. I just want to see something here. Oh, it feels pretty loose. So. And I can't tell if the gears are off, but you can't really tell from where you're looking at. But I wanted to line these things up perfectly. And they look pretty perfectly lined up, believe it or not. Yeah, I'm going to say that's good. And if it turns out it's not good, we'll find out later. That's going to be the absolute theme of this entire escapade. If it is actually not good, it will be known in the future. I'm trying to get a light closer. All right. So now the next step, because I didn't get a chance to clean this beforehand, is to clean this piece right here. It's a little gear notch piece that slips into here. Now none of this, there's an interesting point here. None of this has been oiled. I've chosen not to oil it. Typewriters are originally designed, supposedly, not to have to operate with a lot of oil, or barely any oil at all. By keeping it really clean though, if I decide to oil it later on, it will not gum up the works. Because usually the works are gummed up when oil combines with actual, like crap, for lack of a better word. So next step is going to be washing this thing right here. I'm going to pull out a little bit of black thinner. There you go. Smells like flammable. I'm going to really get this thing good wiped down. Especially there in the grooves. You can see what's all coming off of it already. See the brown already. And the one thing I can't stop is when the oils from my hands get onto pieces. But frankly, that's not something which I'm going to be able to really avoid much anyway. Yeah, this is perfect. This is literally the perfect setup here. It could not have gone better. Now again, all this is going to come from kind of backwards remembering how everything went in. So it's literally a process of looking back in my and everything. And I think that means the next piece is going to be the big piece. And this piece also could use some cleaning. Yeah, look at all that growing coming over there. See, this piece could be a secret culprit. Not sure, probably not. Because this piece rides on this little rail right here. This little thing right here. And this thing is loose, which I don't even know if that's supposed to be loose. Whoa, just did that. So maybe it's supposed to be kind of loose. And I'm guessing that that has to do with kind of catching the guardrails and stuff like that. But the thing is I don't want to presume either way. It could be a problem, it could not be a problem. And I gotta be real careful here. I do not want to get the lacquer thinner on the paint, the Remington Rand logo and everything on this. Woo! Just sprinkle this right down. I have to be real careful. As I slip this in to the space between these things. Look at that going across. This is good. I think it's half of that clean. And also, I could just go prime here like this. And again, this is running with the theory that cleanliness may have been the issue, even though usually typewriters can be pretty ganky and still work. Today's theme on the morning show was capture. I love the idea of continuing conversation, if anybody wants to. What does capture mean to you today? This is going to be a stretch. Quite literally a stretch. You're going to have to fit into some Oh. There's some holes there. Yeah, this was literally a pry and remove deal. And some of these things are riveted into the frame. Ooh! Carriage is angry at me. Come on. So it's going to have to... What if I pulled this out and put this bracket on here? Now, I had delineated that this was not an issue before, but I could be wrong, because I can see this piece is already scratching up against it. Maybe not. I'm going to remove this since this is not necessary. If you're just tuning in and repairing a typewriter. No small feat. Alright. Come on. If you have any questions about this typewriter, feel free to ask. First question you may have is, why the heck are you repairing a typewriter? There we go. That's the right way to put it in. Well, this one was a very bad boy. It decided not to work on me when I needed it to. And subsequently, I tore apart the carriage. Got to the root of the problem, or at least so I think. And now I'm attempting to put it all back, like the way it was. So it will do typing related things. So I'm going to start by getting several different pieces to line up all at the same time, which seems to be a real challenge, figuring that now I might also be only in a certain location put in. I attempted to see whether there was a typewriter repair manual available for this on the internet. There probably is somewhere, is the answer to that question of, is there a typewriter manual repair available? But unfortunately, that goes in there. Now this is where it's all supposed to click into place. So why is this not going down to start? Oh, there we go. Ooh, that's good. That's closest that we've gotten it so far. This needs to move over. Oh, that metal does not like what I'm doing with it right now. And this metal doesn't either. A very narrow spot where everything lines up, and I've got to have it sitting there. Gently push on it this direction. Alright, let's start with this side, since this seems to be the easier side to walk in. It doesn't want to click into place on this side. That's what I don't get. But it does want to click into place on this side, but it won't let me because of the piece. And then we watched him fidget with a typewriter for 2 hours. And what do we learn? Absolutely nothing. Unless that's the location where it sits in place. No, that can't be right. Because that needs to line up there. Right, so I need to, whoa! I'm not angry at me on that one. I said, what are you doing? This tab here is loose and should be loose enough for me to be able to pull it out. Here we go. Unless that tab's supposed to be in. Something that's covered by this. Ooh, it's close, it's close, up! Looks like we've got it in here. And on the other side, it looks like it will sit here. For some reason it does not want to. That's weird, but okay. Is this a piece that can push out? All I know is we've got it sitting. Oh, it just fell out again. How peculiar. It locks into place like that. Ah, yeah, here we go. I do not want to have to remove a piece to add a piece. But it seems like this little thing right here is giving me problems. I don't know if you can still see. Telemonian Dan, hello! Why do I feel like that username is very familiar? Telemonian Dan, welcome. I am repairing a typewriter. Have you ever repaired a typewriter before? It's not like you trying to brag, honestly. Probably a very good thing you haven't repaired a typewriter before. Ha! I think I know who you are. Good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, I am repairing a typewriter, and it's the first step is locking this thing back into place. And it looks like it doesn't want to. Oh, hold on a second. Now we're starting to get somewhere here. Well, that's where that goes. There's a lot of pieces in here that don't seem to be lining up the way they should, but that's all right. And part of that is because this piece is starting to come apart. Well, that's peculiar. Huh. Oh, I should what? I can't even remember what I was saying because I'm too busy wrestling with the machine. Making gorgeous annoyed love to it. Ugh. I forgot what I even said. Oh, that's great. Tell them hello. Tell them not to repair typewriters. I'm kidding, I'm kidding. It's very good to repair typewriters. It's just better when the typewriter stops messing up and doing things that you don't expect it to, such as not... See, like that locks it into place on this side. You're good on one side, and then it pops right out again. See, that's the part that I am not understanding as the typewriter repairman. How come this is popping out? It's like that piece is not even something that can be pushed out a little more. Here, hold on a second. Well, tell your other streamer friend hello, and if they're looking for somebody to raid, they can raid a lonely typewriter repairman on Twitch. But I would not suggest it. Frankly not. Okay. I think that these little pegs, which these things kind of slide into, are movable inside of this machine. So if I do a little bit of... I want to push this in just a little bit. It may not let me. Well, either way, I've got 2 out of the 3 points locked in, and I think the third's going to lock in when I did not get around to writing your poem about the true Americans theory, but it will happen. In fact, I have a lot of commissions that kind of showed up before then, which is a good reason to get caught up. I'm going to take a quick break. Yeah. now the machine exits. Actually, I'm scared to touch it because I'm afraid it's gonna because I'm scared it's gonna like fall off. No, yeah, I've been I had a bride that unfortunately was not able to do a wedding, and as a result, I am doing 9 poems for her instead. Hey! This is Jonathan Typewriter Posey, everybody. The typewriter guy on Twitch, and this is like 3 different friends groups that are just intersecting at the same time. So I didn't get around to writing the To America's Theory poem. Well, it's a laptop camera. Hold on a second. Let's do it. Did that help? I guess it did. It did help. This is Jablonski Live. Yes. So, yeah. Anyway, that was the reason why the To America's poem didn't get done, but it will get done because it's such an intersecting, overlapping thing. Like, in fact, it's very much the square idea that I was talking about. That there's the liberal conservative, but there's also the works with people, doesn't work with people type of thing. And it's really playing out in incredible fashion right now. So yes, so Jonathan, this is my poor Remington noiseless with a very disassembled carriage. You can see all the parts. If I angle this camera down here, all splayed out. And nothing matters but typewriters. I'm so glad that we got some people in here from the typewriter maintenance group. This is how I can tell that the post got approved. Yeah, multi-camera. But I don't know if this is going to work. Like, that's the great suspense of it all. It's like, okay, we're going to give this a shot, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And if it does work, it does. Like, that's the thing. I may be, yeah, it's just, we're working on it. That's the whole point of it. We're working on it. But anyway, and I'm also slowly over time figuring out what might be the actual issue with this machine, which is because the carriage wasn't binding at different points. So let's see. All right, let's get back to this. The next step is going to be attaching the screws that kept this whole thing together. Now, I put the screws, and this is for you typewriter guys out there. I put them in a bead thing with numbers. And then I can coordinate those numbers to a list that I have on my computer, which actually I'm using a computer screen, which I can add as display capture, right? That source. That works. Okay. And I can show you guys what it looks like. You should see it now. Right? Yep, there we go. So this is the container number, the typewriter, and the part number. And as you can see here, some things get really weird. A screw. But you can see all these for the Remington noise. Now this is, what I have been doing is I take less pictures and I do more of this, which I need to still take more pictures. But I do have some pictures of what this looked like. So let's start pulling some of these out because I definitely want to get the carriage portions at least on, which is going to be these two here, left carriage, right carriage screws, because those are the ones that are going to determine whether this thing actually is or isn't a potential problem. And I can't mix them up. Now, it looks very organized. Oh, goodness, you're right. Thank you. Thank you. The open can of mineral spirits on the edge of the desk is making me nervous. Well, it's closed now. Yeah. So I can't mix up which one's left, which one's right. It also might be missing like a piece or two. I know this, so we have a screw here that I randomly have it for this side. And this is actually going to be one of the first ones I put on because this one is the easiest. And I'm going to start going from the top again. I can't necessarily say this is going to be the clearest view, but at least we can start assembling through here. Oh, let's red thing first. I remember this screw particularly, so I just want to get this one on. And this one I don't think even has anything to do with attaching the two bracket pieces. There's going to be a lot of other pieces that are going to be more important to use to attach. Oh, you're interviewing Dwayne Jensen. Yeah, his videos are incredible. Anybody that's interested in learning more about typewriter repair work, definitely look up Dwayne Jensen. He is God among men when it comes to that thing. Yes, Phoenix Typewriter on YouTube. You're right. Yes, his name. Going back to my spreadsheet, it's 27 is left, and I did it visually, so it's audience left and audience right. Shout out to my wife for making that confusing because she's a theater person, and there are now multiple ways to do left and right. And now let me see how good was my photo on this one. Ooh, that's yeah, okay. We have some starting points here, which are good. Which is going to be this. It's going to be one of the first ones I can tell already. Threading this one in. You can see here my photo, what it looks like, which also means I'm going to pull these pieces for a second I was wondering where my there we go. Now I already see an issue because I only have one out of two screws that are supposed to be over here. This could make things very quickly end in disaster, but I don't think that's going to be the case. First, just kind of thread this in. Make sure this is the right size screw that I'm looking for, because photos, oh, that's it. That's definitely it. Ah. So it might have been that I did two separate jobs on this, and that way I organized those screws into separate bunches, because I know what I'm kind of looking for. Okay, that's paper bail. That's a platinum screw, I don't need that. Left, right, carriage molding screws. But these look pretty promising. Oh no, those are brother screws, never mind. At least I can get some of these pieces on. So at least it starts looking like something that resembles a typewriter. Disclaimer is that I don't claim to be an expert typewriter repairman, but it's cool if you're tuning in and think I'm doing okay. I can already tell though this piece is going to go right here. There's a washer underneath here, so it goes this order. Woo. Probably be better if I put these on one of these dishes. I did put every single screw that I pulled out of this machine onto a dish, so if it's not there, I would be shocked. It just might be more that it needs to kind of find its way. Here we go. And the reason why I'm starting with this screw is because this screw will actually attach this larger carriage assembly with the paper tray and everything, and the margins, to the lower portion. Perfect. And so that's the start of this. Now, I will definitely schedule myself, Jonathan. I just haven't had time. I promise I will do it. I did think I took more pictures. Oh, here we go. Well, we will just continue to persevere. Leaves me scratching my head because I definitely thought I had more screws that were part of this thing. Oh goodness, this is when it starts becoming embarrassing. But that's the great thing about this, is I honestly took the chance with this machine. I said, I don't know how this machine repair is going to work out, but gosh darn, I'm going to try. Because it's a learning experience. You don't try unless sometimes you have to break a couple of eggs. And there's maybe a broken egg. Because I see here 2 flatheads, but I only have 1. Let's see. It's difficult to part with. But I do have this screw. It doesn't go into anything. It goes into something on that side. No, that hole just goes straight through, because that hole is the hole which this screw goes into. Interesting. So I actually might be fine on screws because I'm underestimating how the screws lay out. No, I'm definitely missing a screw. And I'm not too concerned about it right now. She said what? What do we got having? What jokes do we have in the chat here? What is this? What's this shenanigans? I don't remember when that was said. So obviously I said something which was self-compromising and wasn't even aware. Goodness gracious. How embarrassing. So yeah, it's possible I mixed up these screws, but here's the thing. I don't know if I took a picture of the other side. That's the part that I'm starting to agonize over. I'm looking at other tool chests here. Yeah, you guys are not getting to see anything that's happening, so I'm going to switch over to this view. put that screw back in. Sometimes I rethread the screws, and that's how I store things. Yeah, my thinking is that I just simply put the wrong screw in the wrong bin, because I have a second screw here that looks like the one I'm supposed to have. And I cannot, for the life of me, think that the opposite side has that screw, because there's very few screw holes for that side. Yeah, actually, that's exactly what happened. I found my lost screw. I had put it in the wrong bin, and that was because when I was taking this thing apart, I was not paying attention, because I actually took it apart during the typewriter conference, and Jonathan Posey was probably making some joke on one of the lectures or something like that. I don't know. I blame you, John. If you are listening to these instrumentals, they are coming from Lo-Fi Artist Akira the Gun. Okay. This is good. This picture is everything. This picture is saving my life right now. Thank you, Jonathan, for the recommendations in terms of how to do this and stay alive. Photos are life, indeed. First time you saw the machine and what you said. That's funny. Har, har, har. All right. I'm just figuring it might be good to just get all these pieces in right now. And there we go. No, there we don't go. I'm going to leave these for now because there's some more critical things that need to happen here, including getting this side organized. But the thing is this is the side that I may not have actually taken the pictures of. Oh boy. There was a deep level of frustration when I was pulling these things off. Alright. We're going to be looking at my hair a lot. So I did do a boo-boo. This is supposed to come off. Put this in here, and I mixed up which screw goes where. Not a big deal because the right screw is right next to me. Wow, that screw is definitely not supposed to go in there. That screw goes somewhere totally different. The thread size is the same? Yeah, they're the same. Those of us who are losing hair are jealous. Still got mine. I'm sure the more I work on typewriters, the more it'll disappear. Ha ha. Thank you guys for those that are still watching, 45 minutes in. The machine has very slowly started coming together. Ooh, I gotta be careful. So this is going to be starting to turn into a process of elimination type of situation. So, I mean, I know what the screw that I'm working on right now. Yeah, for a while I would wash my hair with a certain shampoo in the shower. Not that this isn't TMI or anything, but I would wash my hair with a certain shampoo in the shower, and it would be coming out. And so I switched shampoos, and it helped. But I think that's just a temporary, staving off what is going to be an eventual loss. This may not be right. No, that's definitely right. That's definitely right. TV blaster? I didn't know it made shampoo. That's good. That is a good joke. That's good. Come on. By the way, I ordered my own Chapman set. You'll be proud to know, Jonathan, I finally did it. Alright, this doesn't want to go in, and I cannot understand why. There is some sort of issue on this side with that, but that's not the piece I really need is probably to put this screw in. Because this screw is going to be the one that's going to create a lock for the, right? This is the one that's going to create a lock for springs to hold on to. Yeah, I think so. And then that at least would lock this thing in. Should probably pull this thing out this way. So far, so good in terms of the carriage not being loose. So the story behind this repair, Jonathan, in case you didn't know, is I took this typewriter out on Halloween to do some Halloween poetry, and I was Kylo Ren for Halloween, so I was wearing a mask, and I was going to write for the glorification of the First Order, and then the typewriter seized up on me while I was sitting out there before I'd even written my first poem. So in good Kylo Ren fashion, it tore the thing to shreds. But obviously in the goal to get it fixed. But I figured it was going to be of no use to me with a bound carriage. It already has a margin issue where I snapped a piece on it. So God forbid something happened and it didn't get repaired. I mean, it's not a loss because it already wasn't working. I mean, not that I ever want to lose a machine. All right. So now that the machine's in, let me see if I can just run it quickly a couple of times through the I'm going to keep this piece down here. I want to make sure that I still have a very fluid carriage and that it's still working very well for me relatively. I can hear metal on metal, but what that probably is the fact that I haven't screwed down this center piece right here. This one right here. And so that's probably what I'm hearing, a little bit of rattling. So I am not going to be too alarmed by that. It looks like everything is in place. It's just I couldn't get this screw in, and it's going to frustrate me, so I want to put this screw in. And this screw is the one that goes up here. This really didn't actually need to be removed, but I removed it anyway. It's going to go up here. So let me take a look at this thing head on. Adjust my lighting a little bit. If you are just tuning in, This is station identification letting you know I'm attempting to repair a typewriter. And I think I'm going to actually be able to clinch it. Knock on wood. I do not know what is happening on this side with the... Oh, that's probably why. Okay. See, something tells me that this screw is not going to fit in here, or maybe that there's been a cross-thread issue. If there's a cross-thread issue, well, that would just be very, very unfortunate. Now, let's see if it would go in on the other side. See, that's the test. And also, I tightened this down a bit, so maybe if I loosen this a little bit, that might help free things up on that side. No, I didn't even tighten it. And I'll compare these two screws together. The screws are exactly the same. So there should be no reason why it isn't going in on this side. Thank you so much for tuning in, Telemony and Dan. If you feel so inclined, you can like, share, or subscribe. You know the deal. But I appreciate you being here and watching my shenanigans as they happen. Yeah, I will be streaming at least till 5, if not later. Have not decided yet on how long I'm streaming. So, believe it or not, the first thing that's going to bother me about all this is not going to actually be anything involving the carriage, but the way that these screws, well, these screws technically do have something to do with the carriage, because there's a rail back here that rides on the piece. How's everybody's day going? We had like a very little sprinkling of hail here. It's the weirdest thing. Did not understand. There we go, that's a little better. Oh. Slowly but painfully, surely, this typewriter will come together. Now, what I do remember from these screws is that they did not want to come out. These screws were a pain in the butt and a half. They were very, very, they did duck protest greatly. Whoa. If this continues much longer, I'm definitely going to say the culprit is, it's been thread issues inside of this side, because this is hooking in and should be screwing in, but it's not. You know, very stubborn. If I switch the screws around, I bet you I'm going to get the same problem on that side, and this other screw is going to work just fine here. In terms of cost effectiveness, this repair is not. Thank you. Public service announcement. Just letting you know. Do not try this repair at home. And it might be possible that after everything is said and done, like my thinking is I'm repairing typewriters for potential rental, my own personal use, you know, things like that. But my thought process, especially things like this, keep happening. Have you ever sprayed PB Blaster inside of something to get it to thread better? I've never done that. But Jonathan has said yes. Wow! There you have it, folks. That is incredible. Right now I'm just using a regular screwdriver. I know that your Chapman screwdriver is in the bag in the Hammond, which, because the house is cluttered with some of my machines I'm practicing on first, is not available to me right now. But I did order yesterday a Chapman set. So not for this repair, but for every other repair after this, I will have my own Chapman set. So you do not have to use yours. Oh, this is perfect. So, for future reference, if you ever are having a screw that does not want to go in, shout out to PB Blaster. And now it smells. Yes, get that CEO on the podcast. They're a really cool team. I love what they've done. All right, and now we have a few more screws to throw in. This one I think is going to go over here. Now this could be something that holds in something else, but for now I'm not going to even worry about that because I'm intending on testing out the carriage. See if I have a bind back in now that I've installed this piece. Because that could be the case, and if I have a bind, then I need to identify where that bind is because then I've at least narrowed it down. If I don't have a bind, then that's a sign that if you rewind, you will find the reason this all was a mess. Smells like PB Blaster in the morning. Oh. Right, tightening these up. Okay, good. That piece is nil. This piece was an important piece that threaded into here. Ah. And immediately I have something walking to me. The initial prospects are telling me that I do not feel the bind any longer. It feels a little, definitely much looser. Now I had a rubber band, which kept these things together. And they are one. So, and they are one. Alright, I need my rubber band back. I'll be right back. Instead of PVB, you can use Deep Creep, Coral, and WD-40 TBH. You should have one that doesn't reach or is handy, starting with vinegar, then WD-40, Coral, Deep Creep, and finally PB. I don't know, I like the idea of going with the nuclear option first. I don't know, it's giving me some sort of joy. That's a joke, of course. I don't agree with that, especially as you get with older machines. I was just being funny. But, not a bad idea. I love vinegar. I've been having great success with vinegar to clean. Vinegar is a fantastic cleaner. Very underestimated. Underrated, I should say. So why did I remove the carriage? It was because it was binding. It was because it was just not moving enough. Like it was binding in such a way that it was not able to be used, but did not seem to have anything wrong with it. So I kept going lower and lower in the hierarchy of things to try to figure out what might have been wrong. And this. Alright, so there's more weight on the carriage now. So it's moving a little not as steady. Like it's I'm getting some bind. I am indeed getting some bind. What I mean by bind is that that's going to be a problem too. I'm running into several issues here. Woo! Several issues indeed. Already. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. So, to discuss a little bit. Yes, I removed the carriage because it was not moving fluidly across. Even with the tension from the drawband. My hope is that the issue was in fact a deep clean. But there are some other issues at stake here, which I've already come across, because I removed that carriage. I mean, I don't really think that's... Whoa! Yeah, that's going to be an issue. But I think it may actually be a resolvable issue. Okay, resolving it right now. Wasn't that exciting? Oh, that's great. Oh, that's good. So even when with the tension pulling on it, it would have issues. Now you guys have just been watching me for the past 5 minutes just move this carriage back and forth. What I have been doing is I've been taking some of the little gears that are right down here. You may not see. Let's see if I can get the light a little closer. So you can see there's little wheels down here, here in the center. I was moving those over because if I moved the carriage all the way this way, they were hanging off the edge here, meaning that it wouldn't advance. to start. It wouldn't advance from here, but now it will advance from the beginning. I don't know. So I am tempted to stop it here and do the thing that I've done before with this machine to test it. Actually, I'm going to do that, but I'm not going to stop the stream. We're going to pause on this machine. Now, what am I going to do with it? Well, this machine, so Halloween was a cold day, a very cold day, and a machine that had previously worked just fine indoors did not work outdoors. My running theory right now, and call me a crackpot, but my running theory is that this machine seizes up in the cold. And it seizes up in the cold because the cold does something to the metal and affects it. Maybe tightens some things up because everything condenses. John, you've repaired a lot of machines. Have you ever noticed weather to be a factor? Is that going in right? I'm not sure if it's in there. And if you're just tuning in, come repair Typewriter. If I didn't strip the screw on this one. Nope, no strip screw. Strip beds, no strip threads. So interesting to see how these machines have come together. Oh, goodness. There it is. I just want to put this screw in so I do not lose it. In fact, though, I don't need to do that because I've labeled my... This is right carriage. So this is number 28. So since this is still a right carriage piece, and I believe that this was a left carriage piece. We can put these back in. Right. But one of the things I need for this, and I need for the other stream too, is I need a nice little be right back type of sign, but I don't have one. So instead, you're going to see me walk away for a quick second and put this machine is going outside, outdoors. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it outdoors. It's cold outside right now. It's around like 40 something degrees. If we can get a low of 20, this would be perfect because if it does not bind at 20 degrees, then this machine will never bind whenever I'm going to use it. I'll be back. Do not leave, I shall return. Do not despair. Alright, I have returned, if only in spirit. Now I'm going to start looking at some of my other pieces here for projects. Now I didn't plan on doing an additional project. What's going to happen? Alright, I have returned. Thank you, anybody that decided to stay. So, what I have in front of me now, and I did plan on doing something like this, like have a backup machine for every repair in case I have to stop a repair. This is a Smith Corona Zephyr. This machine holds sentimental value to me because my aunt gave it to me. A couple of things that are not I wouldn't say issues. It's a little dusty, so it needs to be blown out. So I have a hair can right here. It needs to be blown out. It has, if you can see here, see these little black things right here. This is a little bit of the interior trim on the top of this, obstructing the keys. Not really obstructing them, but definitely causing them to grab just a little bit. And then the platen needs to be removed. This platen is hard as a rock, has a couple of cracks in it. So those are the three things which I'm going to be doing today. This platen will be going off to JJ Short for a repair. Will come back brand new. I may even send them the rollers, depending on how the rollers look. But I don't usually send rollers, believe it or not. A lot of people are like, oh, I send my rollers and I send my the little black thing that channels the air. Usually people send the rollers and the platen. I just send the platen. I don't find it necessary to send the rollers. But only if the rollers are flat, then the rollers are junk at that point. Now I'll tell another interesting story with this machine. This machine sat on my night table. Your night table, Joseph? Yes. I put a typewriter on my night table. And I put one on my night table in case I ever want to write. I've only done it occasionally, where I'm going to write after I've already gotten in bed. I'm going to stop with this. Alright, so it's kind of blown out now, a little better. So as a result of it sitting on my night table, it got a little dusty. Works fantastic though. It works fantastic, but also it's a little noise bucket, and also has issues here because of this thing. So let's see by pulling that off. Looks like I got 4 screws that hold on this bracket. It may, no, it's just actually might only be 2 screws. Look at it really. I'm using a light to look inside. See where this hooks up. Yeah, that hooks up to the bottom. So bottom, I don't need to remove the bottom. I've got 2 screws back here. So look like they might be screws that hold this piece, this thing on. Yeah. One thing I did learn early on about typewriter repair is that you want to have these little metal magnetic containers for screws. They are fantastic. Great place to just simply toss and store them. Let's see, does this remove the back first? I might have to remove the back first. So the key with removing a case, frankly, you just start pulling screws off and you see what you get to. And eventually you will get to the right screws. And the whole thing will go kerplunk. Great thing about having 2 of these metal cases, there's my second metal case, is right here, is that if you have 2 different screws, you know you can separate them. And then sometimes the screws just turn out to be the same. Frankly, it's not a bad thing. They try to make these things simple in manufacturing. This typewriter is from the 30s, closer to the late 30s. It's a really cool small machine for late 30s, as typewriters go. Ow. Oh, hi there. More screws. Oh, jeez. That one does not look like it's going to want to come off. But it looks like this might. That's the idea here. So I want to get this thing. It's possible that there is some reason why these screws would have to. So I'm just going to continue following that philosophy of pull out all the screws, even if you don't know whether they're necessary or not. And we're doing it magnetizing the screwdriver. And even inside these little magnetic cases, you can sort out these screws. You can separate them. And the good thing anyway about pulling off all the body panels is then I get to see how things look inside the typewriter. Does anything else need to be blown out a little better? Have I shoved, in my attempt to blow things out, did I manage to shove any dirt in a place where it shouldn't have been? You just get to kind of get a better view of the machine. There we go. And it's possible that there could be screws I need to remove that are not visible until I remove the bottom. Or the bottom, he said. The bottom, he said. Oh, okay, great. So sometimes you have to remove the little plastic feet to get to the right screws. I seem to have removed all the screws to take out 2 out of the 3 panels. But the 2 out of the 3 panels seem to not be moving. This is a peculiar development. It wants to come out. Huh. How peculiar this is. I don't know if you guys can see. Oh, you got Joe Cha on the podcast. You son of a gun. I promise you, right after this my show finishes, I'm getting on and I'm reserving a time. That's so good. I'll finally be able to actually hear Gerald Shaw's voice. Not that I haven't. I think he's probably done videos before. I think he's a pretty cool dude. Cool dude, cool dude. What is not a cool dude is this Zephyr. This Zephyr does not want to come apart. This is extremely peculiar to me because I do not see other screws that I can simply just start ripping out of this thing. It's not a very coordinated strategy, but it is often a very effective one. So why is it not coming up? This is peculiar. Very, very peculiar. The feet are adhered, and it looks like there are no screws on the bottom. I have always assumed the bodies on typewriters to be a very easy thing to navigate. By the way, just pulling out this ribbon, that's no big deal. This ribbon is a pain in the butt to get back in here, but right now I just don't want to deal with this. I'm sure you've done an episode with Mr. and Mrs. Typewriter, right? Alright. Come on, come on, come on. I mean, the only other thing I could do is rip out these screws that are in here. I do not want to do this. I desperately don't want to rip out those screws because they hold in a lot of other things. Mr. and Mrs. Vintage is recording on Saturday. Exciting. They are so cool. Their Instagram is lit. So is yours, John. Such cool typewriter Instagram buddies. Twitch buddies now, but not System or Zephyr buddies. I don't like this machine. This machine's being very mean to me. See, it looks like the whole thing has been disconnected. It's just more of a question of how does it remove itself. Is it a slide forward, slide out type of deal? Because it doesn't look like it wants to slide. Well, it looks like it does want to slide a little bit. No, it doesn't want to slide. Resistance to sliding. Oh, thank you. Your wonderfully G-rated mind has done is that's wonderful. It's not stuck. We could just go into all that. That's funny. Generates so many awful jokes, says Jonathan Typewriter Posey. Awful jokes from wonderful people. I find the whole construction of this thing very fascinating, except for the fact where it won't let me take it apart. Alright, this is it, I'm going in. It doesn't want to come off that way. I have another method. I have wrenches. Oh, wait, on camera. Wrenches. So I am going to pull off this little back panel piece. Hopefully it does not disassemble the entire typewriter in the process. Ooh, that's great. And that's good, that's good, that's good. And then all I need is I need to just stick a screwdriver in here to keep this thing from moving. That is such a small nut. not even funny that it almost just fell on the floor. I am not laughing. But it looks like that nut doesn't impact the screw. If the screw is screwed in, this piece is still here. It's still moving. It's not, nothing's actually happening with that. Ah, we have found the culprit. I knew there was another screw. Knew it. There's another screw holding the whole thing together. I'll tell you, I don't know where I would be without these little wrenches. These little wrenches are actually miracle workers for me. They have saved me. I actually had to buy them because I was trying to take something off and it wouldn't come off. And I realized I needed a wrench, and I was like looking up wrench things. I said, oh, look at that. Cute little wrench set. You can't see right now. Oh, and you got Baco ribbon too. I'm really curious to hear their story. Random outfit in Wisconsin, I think, right? Wisconsin, is there one base that just randomly churns out bulk typewriter ribbon? Like, what's all that about? How did they get into that game? I love that. Yeah, I got Baco ribbon. Baco ribbon is the best. All right, great. So this should, everything's going to come apart after this. Ooh, that's a different screw? Is that a different screw than this one? I'll put it in a little separate area just in case. I mean, these small typewriters, these ultra portables are notoriously hard to pull apart. Gramercy typewriter, Gerald Shaw, typewriter Traveler, Jesse Lynn Curry, Ted Bunk, Baco ribbon, Brian Bledsoe, oh he's great, Joe Sponsky and Chapman, MFG. Brian and I collaborated on design together. Well, he did 99% of the work on design. I submitted a poem, you know, did my part. Yes. Oh, that's why it's not coming off. We're going to try to tighten it instead of loosen it. All right. My guess is now that I pull out this screw, the whole thing should just come apart. Not the typewriter, the casing. It's the great thing about typewriters, is then they have their separate casing. All right, so let's see here. No! Oh wait, yeah, that's doing its thing. And this is going to involve compressing the keys in the front and sliding. That's going to be, I think, the way that this goes. I've done one of these before. They definitely improved the design on the Skywriter because pulling the assembly off on the Skywriter was like a walk in the park compared to this crap. You can offer comment. I had to make my mistakes and learn from them, so must you. Waha. No, please offer comment. Offer all the comments. Oh, I do know one of the mistakes I'm making, which is that it's much easier to tie up all those type bars. I think your mean-hearted comments brought to my mind an insight. There we go. If I wrap these all up, well, I do have to call Tom about typewriter rental things, so I'll make a little mention to him. Oh yeah, it's this guy. He has a podcast. I mean, he knows, obviously. All right. What's interesting here is that it's rocking now, but there's something blocking it. Ah, here we go. That's the start. Backspace button. This is one of the first keys that was not. I am definitely perturbed by how difficult this is. This was not as difficult on the Skywriter. I mean, these are two separate pieces, these two. So that's the part that's really confusing me, because I do not understand why these two separate pieces, unless they're not. Like, they look like they're adhered together. They are indeed adhered together. That was my initial mistake. I plan to do this for 2 hours, so we're pretty good on time. Figuring I now have a typewriter freezing in the cold. Plan on doing this every Tuesday. The plan. I'm doing it every Wednesday, and then every Wednesday stopped. Like I stopped doing it every Wednesday, and I'm going to do it every Tuesday. And now I'm getting a better look at this felt, and it looks like it's coming apart. This might be, nearly 80 years, 75 years probably is the most accurate number, 75 years of just being used. A couple other interesting things I'm seeing with this is it looks like this was before the Smith Corona went over to the Series 5 key linkage design, which I have a whole story about that one day. Alright. But it doesn't want to move. It does not want to move. Something doesn't seem right, indeed. You were just thinking what I was thinking. Because this should slide. And I mean, it's running up against these keys here, but I can't depress all the keys. I mean, I could try depressing all the keys at once and trying to slide it out under. But I don't think it's supposed to be this troublesome. Retaining pins. Retaining pins? I don't see any retaining pins. But now I'm able to get a good look under the machine. I look at it kind of like with like down the barrel of the machine. So interesting to be looking down here, but no pins. I'm not trying to remove the carriage on it. The carriage is fine. I'm not planning on removing I'm planning on removing the platen later on. That's not the piece that I'm trying to remove. I'm just trying to take the body off. The whole body. That's the part I'm trying to do. And eventually I'm going to be removing the platen as well, but that's going to be second level. First I want to figure out what's going on with this, how to get this cushioning. No screws underneath on this one. It's completely loose. It just doesn't want to move now. It doesn't want to move. No, I can tell that it's disconnected from the feet. It's not. It's just something that's blocking it from getting through here. Because I can lift this part up, and I can lift this part up. You can see it kind of rocking inside of there. It looks like it is. What do you mean chew piece? I don't think that the front part and the back parts disconnect. I think that this whole body part is a one piece. And that's the unfortunate development here, is I didn't think this was a one piece. I thought this was a two piece. I thought we could pull this part off, the top part, and then the bottom part would come separate. No, but they are welded together. So the way it comes off on the Skywriter is it slides out this way. You push these keys down, you pull this forward, and out. They can slide out. But there's something that's blocking it very early on here. And it looks like it might be the backspace key. Oh, because the backspace key actually goes lower than I was pushing it. I got a better idea. Yes. Indeed, it turns out that tying up the keys was not going to be the answer. It's this. It is indeed this. Alright. I gotta somehow hold down all these keys. If I pull this back. Oh! Get that under there just a little bit. Thing is this is one of those moments I knew it was going to come where no, it'll slide. It's just got to let's see if I can press these down, if I can slide out at an angle. There we go. I got it! It's working! It's working! Alright, there we go. Nope. Don't leave. I have. There we go. That's it. That was the strategy. The strategy was to press the keys in parts, left and right. Oh goodness gracious! But what is coming out with it? But the molding that is all gumped up. This is very unfortunate indeed. I gotta hold that in while I pull the rest of this out. Woo! Woo-hoo! Alrighty. Oh goodness gracious! This molding is still proving to be a pain in the butt. But that's because it is the problem. All right. There we go, we got it. Very similar to, hopefully I didn't damage anything on that, very similar to the removal of the Smith Corona Skywriter, because it is based off of the Smith Corona Skywriter, except this machine is older and more of a pain in the butt. And this is what I was looking to get at, as you can see in there. This was what the soundproofing was beginning to do. It is deteriorated. The glue has deteriorated. The soundproofing is good on the sides, but not here on the top. And it was starting to come out. It was just affecting the keys enough where I knew that I wanted to pull the thing. Yeah, there we go. So I want to thank you very much, Jonathan Typewriter Posey, for all your help. We were wrestling with this together. It was actually very exciting to have a partner in crime as I was attempting to dissect this thing. We now have our bare bones Zephyr. I love these machines. I freaking love these little ultra portables, and I'm really sad I haven't been able to use this one more, but the platen is just shot. Everything seems to work. No teeth damaged in the process. It was just my method of removing it that was not good. And now we have this issue of the felt on the top here. And I'm wondering what I want to do. There's a couple of options. I could leave it completely off. It'll be a little bit more of a noise bucket. I could cut it and leave on the little piece, or I could attempt to reglue it. But I don't think that's advisable, because if I reglue it, it's still sticking out here. I still see it sticking out. So what should I do with soundproofing is going to be the question on this. I've seen in the community that just kind of gluing in a little bit of felt is always a good idea. Frankly, I want to remove the soundproofing, but like part of me, like I'm pulling at it just a little bit, and there's part of me inside my head that's going, Joe, this soundproofing has been here for 75 years. Don't do it. It's an antique. It belongs in a museum. No, but I want it to also be practical, you know. And I really don't think it's going to be that bad. Also, though, bonus, the felt is deteriorating back here as well. So, possible I could do felt restoration on the entire machine, which would not be a bad thing. It functions very well. So, I'm happy with it as a machine. It's more that just needs some cosmetic assistance. This is interesting. I don't even know what this is. This is little metal pieces. So anyway, let's get this platen off and examine what the feed rollers look like. And I will also be putting these screws into one of these little cases here. The funny thing about typewriting repair, I see a lot of people with a lot of typewriters they're working on repairing, but not a lot of as repaired typewriters, comparatively. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to be really cool, and I'm going to thread some of these back in. I'm going to use that to take some pictures. Some reference photographs for later on. The shame about the typewriter repair, the Workbench stream, is that so far we have not had a completely successful finished repair stream. We have had a lot of not finished repair streams. You have piles of pieces here. I need to sort them. Well, those should be some pretty good pictures for reference. And now I can just dump all these into one screw container, which is exciting. Because I have made note of where all these things go. We're going to choose number 30 for this one. Because number 29 is going to be where the platinum screws go. Let's remove this platen. Get this thing out of here. I do have a budget for platens, which is exciting. I'll be able to send a bunch. Uh-oh. What do we have here? Do we have a naughty screw? I think we have a naughty screw. All right. Screw A, screw B. Here's the kicker, is you've got to take a picture of what this looks like as it's coming out on this side, because it definitely has a certain design to it that collapses as you remove it. There we go. And we get to check out our feed rollers. We get to see there's a little thing of gunk in there. Feed rollers feel great. Feed rollers are good. Just going to take a video of this and that sitting down there. Can't forget that. Alrighty. So I think that is going to conclude our stream today. Thank you for anybody that is still tuning in. We have here A, rock hard, Smith Corona Zephyr Platen. I'm going to do the platens in pairs. I do not currently have a platen to go with it yet because I have to do a mechanical repair on the Corona 3 before I'm confident sending out that platen. And so we've done a lot of tearing apart. We did a little bit of putting back together today. And the hope is that next week, this time, we'll be able to finish off that Remington noiseless, get it all back and together. I'm going to be checking it when I leave. But nice little photo for memory. Thank you all so much for tuning in.